Here we are for the parking lot review of Unsane. Yes, Unsane, not insane. Uh, this movie, first of all, if you don't know what a parking lot review is, I get tired of saying this every time, but, sort of have to, I guess. A parking lot review is I go see a movie, come right out to the parking lot, get in the car, and then give it a quick review. Just sort of the initial impressions. This isn't long or thought out or whatever. It's just sort of my initial impressions of the film right after I've seen it. And I've really been looking forward to seeing Unsane. Soderbergh is one of my favorite directors. He's a guy who isn't afraid to take chances. He's the ultimate sort of one for them, one for me kind of guy. He's done a lot of mainstream fare, the Ocean's movies, 11, 12, 13, and Aaron Brockovich. But he's also done some really experimental, cool stuff like the Girlfriend Experience and that sort of thing. No matter what he does, it's always interesting. And Unsane looked like more of sort of this kind of experimental film. It was shot in, I believe, just a couple of weeks, and he did it on his iPhone. But the story looked really compelling. It's about a girl who's dealing with a stalker, so she moves away. She changes town, she leaves behind her family, her friends, gets a new job and everything to escape this stalker. And but she's still seeing him everywhere she looks. She still sees this stalker, so she goes to talk to a therapist. I'm not giving anything away. This is all at the very beginning of the movie, but she goes to talk to a therapist and ends up getting committed to a psych ward, and then she's trying to get out, and it sets up this really interesting scenario and all this tension of sort of, is she really is she really insane, or are they making her think that she's insane? And it does really kind of set up this sort of, you're not sure what's going on, but it never really pays that off. It sort of sets up all this tension and builds to this whole thing and then just sort of lets it all go. It doesn't really pay off that well. I'd say the last probably, I don't know, third of the movie is sort of, and it kind of feels like it's dragging on. The runtime, I don't know, it was like 2 hours long maybe. It was definitely too long, that's for certain. I was getting antsy to get out of there. It was a disappointment of a movie. Performances are all good. I can't think of the names of any of the actors that are in it, but they were all great. As far as it being shot on an iPhone, I mean, it still looked good to me. The aspect ratio was a little odd, but I don't know. I don't know anything about aspect ratios or any of that kind of stuff. But it looked great. I'm shooting this right now on my iPhone, and I bet it doesn't look nearly as good as what Soderbergh was able to do with his movie. Overall, I wouldn't recommend seeing Unsane, though. It had a lot of potential, and it started off with a lot of promise, but it just sort of lets everything go, and it kind of falls flat in the end. It was an interesting idea. It just didn't quite pay off, and that is it. That's the parking lot review for Unsane.